Testing, testing.
Yes.
Y'all, Miss Fruit.
Testing.
You good? Good afternoon. The time is 6:01. We're going to get started with this month's Blythewood Town Council meeting. It is Monday, February the 26th, 2024. We are at Doko Manor. Ms. Durst, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilman Brock.
I am here.
Thank you. Councilwoman Fripp. Present. Thank you. Councilman McKemrick.
Present.
Mayor Sloan Griffin.
Present.
Thank you.
Ms. Durst, was notification and posting of the agenda
Yes, sir.
posted to according to state?
Yes,
Thank
sir,
you.
it was.
At this time, I'll ask Councilman Donald Brock to conduct the pledge and the invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Allow me for a quick moment. Lord God, we come before you today as individuals coming together to form one body, to move the town forward and do what's best for our citizens. I ask that you come into this chamber, offer your wisdom and guidance as we move forward with the town's business. I ask that you watch over our first responders, our military, domestic and abroad. Thank you for this wonderful weather. And we thank you for all that you do. Guide us with your ever-loving hand. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Brock. At this time, I'll ask our town administrator, Carol Williamson, for a town administrator report. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to introduce our new Marketing and Special Projects Manager, Jordan Langland, who's here tonight. She's a very recent graduate of Clemson University with a degree in marketing and a host of skills with marketing software that we badly need. Since she's been on board, she's made great improvements to our website, social media, newsletter, and marketing plans with our regional tourism organizations. She's also represented the town in meetings for the MASC program, Main Street, South Carolina. So if you haven't already, please stop by Town Hall to meet her. As you know, the town's been implementing new permitting software in preparation for the large number of permits and inspections that we will have for the foreseeable future. Our permitting technician, Kirk Wilson, has been doing a tremendous job the last few months, and particularly the last couple of weeks as we've gone live with the software. And Kirk had a few comments that I'd like to pass on to you. Overwhelmingly positive response from the builders, contractors, and citizens about how customer-friendly the portal is to use. The software gives the town a much better tool to require payment prior to issuing permits or scheduling inspections. And the support provided by the software company has been excellent, both for us as well as for the contractors learning the system. And finally, just a reminder that we have the Town Council goal setting session on the morning of Friday, March 8th. And so I hope you all can attend that important work session. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments for our town administrator? Ms. Jordan, welcome to the team again. I'm excited to see what you're gonna bring to the town. Thank you for jumping in. And I'm sorry to the USC fans to bring a Clemson graduate to Columbia, but she's doing well, so thank you, ma'am. All right, at this time, I will ask council for their approval of the minutes from the town council meeting, January the 22nd of 24. Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you, ma'am. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. I have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. At this time, this is one of the honor sessions that myself and other members of council were proud to do. We have some families here that deserve these honors, and we're going to take time, and I'm going to ask the media to take pictures and give council members a chance to take pictures as well. The first proclamation I'm going to read is for the Jameson triplets. Please forgive me with my sinus, but we're going to read it. The Jameson family present? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This proclamation is in honor of the Jameson triplets. Whereas the late Louise and Robert Jameson of Elgin, South Carolina, welcomed the extraordinary birth of the Jameson triplets in the year 1956, making it a remarkable event in the history of Kershaw County and beyond. Whereas Lois and Robert Jameson, parents of 11 beloved children, celebrated the births of their 8th, 9th, and 10th child, Christine Dana, Kathleen Elaine, Calvin James, in a rural Kershaw County home amidst of 68 hours of labor, a testament of the strength and resilience of the Jameson family. And whereas the birth certificates of the Jameson triplets recorded the historic moments when Christine Dana entered the world on January the 2nd, 1956 at 3:05 a.m. Kathleen Elaine followed January the 3rd at 10 a.m. And Calvin James completed the triplet trio on January the 4th at 9:55 p.m. Each a unique blessing in their own right. And whereas the late midwife Mamie Burns of Columbia and the late Dr. Carrin of the Elgin played pivotal roles in assisting Lois James during the delivery of their triplets, ensuring the safety arrival into the world over a span of 66 hours and 55 minutes. A feat recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records. And whereas following the miraculous birth, Dr. Carlin transported Christine and Catherine to Camden Hospital in a dresser drawer to receive necessary care in incubators due to their weight, a testament to the dedication and the ingenuity of the medical professionals involved in their early care. And whereas 1956, 410 babies were born as triplets within the United States, but the Jameson triplets were, and still are, the only ones born on 3 separate consecutive days. The Jameson triplets, again, all odds, not only survived, but thrived, embodying the strength of resilience and spirit of unity that have defend their remarkable journey through life. inspiring all who have had the privilege of knowing their story. Now, therefore, be resolved, I, Sloan J. Griffin III, Mayor of the town of Blythewood, do hereby proclaim the Jameson triplets, Christine Dana, Catherine Elaine, and Calvin James, shall forever hold a special place in our hearts and minds of the people of Blythewood, South Carolina, and beyond. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm going to find out. Is that right? 56? Are you wearing the triplet? It's a pleasure to meet you. Be careful these days. Congratulations. Yep, the oldest. Learn something new every day. Learn something new every day. That's amazing. Mama.
And next, we have our beloved family, Blythewood, the Shives. So, sure. This is an honor and a pleasure and something that's way overdue to you and your family. I want to thank your son for helping us put this together to make sure that we got it right to honor you. I seen Phil Fry somewhere in here. Yep, there you go. Thank you, sir, as well for assisting us in recognizing them. So as you all know, the parade was canceled this year. And due to act of God, and yeah, we all hated that, but we want to still make sure that you get the honors that you deserve. And if we can do a parade again next year, we're going to make sure we put you back there. So it is an honor to read the proclamation in honor of William and Barbara Shives, where it is with great honor and esteem that we recognize the outstanding contribution and unwavering dedication of Bill and Barbara Shives, pillars of our community and patrons of excellence. And whereas Mr. Bill Shives, natured in the corridors of Warlack Funeral Home in Lincolnton, North Carolina, answered the call to serve his country, demonstrating valor in the United States Army, and stationed right here at Fort Jackson in Columbia during the Korean conflict. And whereas his pursuit of excellence led him to the hollow halls of Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science in the University of South Carolina, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration. And whereas in 1967, Bill Shives acquired Talbert's Funeral Home, later renamed Shives Funeral Home, where he and his beloved wife, Barbara, worked tirelessly to provide compassionate care and support to countless families in their time of need. And whereas their journey began in 1982, a union blessed with 3 children, Gal, John, and Jane, 2 grandchildren, Porter and Allie, formed the cornerstone of a loving family. Since 1985, they have called Blythewood Road their home, weaving themselves into the fabric of our community with steadfast dedication, their unwavering commitment, selflessness, and tireless efforts embodied the true essence of the Blythewood spirit. And whereas Bill strives a beacon of service, has graced numerous esteemed organizations, including Trinity United Methodist Church and the South Carolina Board of Funeral Services, the American Red Cross, Transplant Committee, Transport of Christ Advisory Board, the Colonel Thomas Taylor chapter of the Sons of American Revolution, the Blythewood Rodeo Club, and Chamber of Commerce, among others. And whereas Barbara Shives, a citizen of Georgetown, South Carolina, has adored our community with her grace and passion, exhibiting her dedication to Trinity United Methodist Church, the Daughters of the American Revolution, and the American Kennel Club, achieving unparalleled success in the National Dog Show, winning countless awards, including the prestigious Westminster Dog Show. Now, therefore, I, Sloan J. Griffin, the mayor of the town of Blythewood, South Carolina, do hereby express my deepest gratitude and admiration for the immeasurable impact of Bill and Barbara Shives. Their selfish dedication, exemplary service, unwavering commitment to the well-being of our community shall forever be cherished and celebrated right here in Blythewood. So the honor, sir and ma'am, would you please come forward?
We got a lot of cameras up here this time.
At this time, I want to ask council members, any comments to the recipients of the proclamations at this time? Okay, here,
Congratulations.
Councilman Brock. All right. Thank you. Again, well-deserved. Thank you for your contributions to the community. Thank you for the triplets. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine. So I'd love to meet the other two. I'm sure council will. And please let us know so we can make sure that the pictures are taken in the media with all three of you. So that's a blessing to still be here, all three. To the Shives, thank you for everything that you have done for this community. Looking forward to much more, and we're always open. I love our conversations. I just sit back and listen, so thank you for everything. All right, next is business. We had fun. So we're going to do a little bit of business right now. We got 3 presentations this afternoon in section 3. I'm going to ask before the presentations are done, I'm going to ask that the presenters remain here to talk with constituents that may have questions afterwards. So I please honor that request and stay over and speak with these constituents that may have questions. The first presentation is Mr. Brian Gwynn with Norfolk Southern.
The green button, green light there.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come here today to update you on the progress of the project to extend rail over to the Scout Motors plant. SCDOT and Norfolk Southern and Richland County and the town have been collaborating on that, and I was asked to come and kind of give you an update, kind of where we are. I'll kind of tell you what we've done to this point and then give you an idea of what's going to happen going forward. So we're heavily engaged in design, civil engineering of the rail line. That takes on 2 major elements: the bridge over the interstate, which is being designed and built by SCDOT. And so I think Brooks Bickley from DOT has been here prior to me. So that effort is well underway. I think we're right around about what we call 90% plans right now on that. They should start construction on the I-77 bridge this summer, and it should be done by next summer. So that's supposed to be done by June 30th of 2025. That then gives us 18 months to build the rail into the site after that point in time. So we are engaged also, Norfolk Southern is, in the design of the rail going from our main line to the plant and the yard at the plant. And then we are working with Scout. They're designing the rail actually that they will utilize to load the vehicles and bring in auto parts and all that. So there's kind of 3 different designs going on at the same time. So that's currently underway. We're at 75% design. Norfolk Southern is on ours. So the elements that are going to happen this year, we will finish design of that. We have a pre-construction meeting. We are going to let a grading contract for the work that'll take place on the east side of 77. So just to remind you, obviously we're going to cross. So in order for us to get over there, DOT is going to build a bridge. They're going to elevate Highway 21 up, and the rail line will slide under. But temporarily, for the period of construction, it will have to cross Highway 21 at grade. So we don't want to have that in there any longer than we have to, obviously, but it's needed in order to bring the rail in. So just to give you an idea, it will be only used for the construction of the rail project. So we'll be bringing in the actual rail, the steel rail itself, and then the ballast, which is the rock that holds the rail down. It has to move in by rail because those rails are 1,440 feet long each. So they're not something you truck around. And so we will, in order to do that, though, we have to actually start building the rail. So the sequence that we have is there'll be a group of events that we have to do up to the point, and there'll be a 36-hour period where they'll have to close the road to bring it across. To minimize the impacts on the community, we realize the school is right there. We're right now targeting the week of April 14th of 2025. That's the week of spring break for Richland 2. So we feel like that would be the best opportunity. If there's a different opinion on that, I'd love to hear it. But we thought that was the best time to do it, to try to minimize the amount of blockage there on the road. Understanding it's going to be an impact no matter when we do it, but we'd like to minimize it. So prior to that point, the events that'll have to take place, so we're going to relocate the Boomer Road at grade crossing, so the new mainline turnout will go in pretty much about where, if you're familiar with where Boomer Road is today, we're going to relocate that 590 feet to the north and construct that new at grade crossing and put that in service so that then we can remove that at grade crossing, and those people will have obviously access to their areas and to their homes and all that. We will at that time also be clearing some trees that are between Highway 21 and the rail line, and that will be so that we can deliver material. So once the road is relocated, we'll drop what we call 8 sticks, and it's probably not fair to call them sticks, but that's what they call them. It's 1,440 feet long, and so we'll drop 8 of those between the rail line and the road. And then we will begin also preparation of signage, barricades. We'll start putting up electronic signage. We'll start working with the local media to make sure everybody is aware of what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, so that there's no surprises and everybody's aware of those. And we're happy to work with the town and everybody to communicate that well in advance. Our contractors will also be constructing what we call a panel. So that's the actual crossing. They actually physically come in and cut the asphalt and drop in a panel. So they have to build that panel. So we'll build that on the site there on the east side of 77 between that and Highway 21. The grading contract that will be going on through there will be clearing a strip of land, probably about 50 feet wide, all the way up to the interstate. And then the major part of it will be building the slope and the grade to go over the interstate. So we'll be moving probably in the neighborhood of 350,000 to 400,000 cubic yards of dirt to do that, to get up to the grade to go over the interstate. We anticipate that the bridge, the rail bridge, and the grading project will be taking place simultaneously. The idea is that when the bridge is done, that the grade is done, and then we can go over. So those 8 sticks that we're going to drop is enough to build the rail from Highway 21 right up to the rail bridge. Then that's enough room for us to start bringing what we call a rail train, and those trains will come in with all of the rail needed for the project on the west side of 77. That will happen summer of next year. So during that 36-hour outage, we will come in. As I mentioned, we'll cut the asphalt, we'll drop in the panel turnout. We'll take that opportunity to also drag those rails across the road, taking advantage of that closure while it's going on to do that. And then we will obviously mill and reprofile all the existing asphalt in that area and relay that asphalt and restripe it, and we'll do all of that inside of 36 hours. We'll also restore any road signage that we have to take down and put back up during that period of time. I should have also mentioned that prior to that, there's a lot going on in this. So there's a lot of utility relocations that have to happen in that area. If you're familiar with that side of Highway 21, there's a transmission line, there's a distribution line, there's a gas line, there's a water line, there's a sewer line, and there's a fiber optic line. Anything that's there is there. Could be there is there. So we are working with the City of Columbia and all the different utilities. We're also coordinating that, of course, with SCDOT, because they have a project to lift up the road. So we're trying to not do things twice. The idea is, obviously, if we can dig a trench one time, let's do everything and put it in there when we have to do it. So That's all going on right now with our utility coordinators and DOT's utility coordinators. Once that's done, once that rail is done and after that 36-hour period, I'd estimate that we're going to have to bring rail in there maybe less than 10 times, probably over about a year. We'll obviously try to schedule that during either not during rush hour, not during school hours. We'll try to maybe do it on a weekend or a time when we can get it in there where it's going to minimize the impact. We will, to get it in there, because we will be coming slowly in there, because it's not a track we consider to be in service. So you're basically building a skeleton track to be able to then build the rest of it. We will actually walk the train across the crossing. It will not be going 40. You're familiar with trains going through town going 30, 40 miles an hour. It's not going to be anything like that. They're going to be creeping in there because we have to go slow to get it up in there. So once those deliveries happen, we'll deliver all the rail on the west side of 77. So we feel like we can build the vast majority of that rail before the end of next year. And then all of 2026, we'll pretty much be building the yard and all the rail on the west side of 77. The grading contractors over at Scout will have that grading project done and turned over to us by March of 25. At that point in time, we'll install utilities, drainage, lighting, electrical, all of that, and begin to put that in. The plan is to have the whole thing finished by the end of November, beginning of December of 2026. That will allow then the rail to be utilized by Scout for their start of their production, to start bringing in parts and also shipping outbound vehicles. So that's all I had as far as the timeline of what's going on. I'm happy to answer any questions. And I appreciate the opportunity to come here before you today and present all that.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the presentation and the update. Council, any questions from council?
Mr. Parent,
Yes,
if I
sir.
may. Brian, when the at-grade crossing, can you give us a rough timeline? Roughly when will that go in, date-wise? And how long will you use it? You'll use that to service all the rail until you switch to the overhead bridge?
So the plan is that DOT will have that overhead bridge done by the time that
Materials
Scout
needed.
starts production. So the idea is that we only use the at-grade crossing for the construction materials during that period of time. We are going to still put lights and gates on the crossing, even though it'll be used extremely rarely. But in the abundance of caution, we want to make sure that it's known that it's there, so there will be lights and gates installed out there. As far as the exact date, I don't have an exact date. I know we're targeting that week of spring break. Once we hire a contractor and bring them on, we will get more details, and as I have those, I don't mind coming back and giving you a more firm date when that's going to be. But I would like to coordinate with y'all anyway, because I think we want to make sure well ahead of time that people are aware that it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, because we don't want any surprises with that.
Yep, I think it's important that we stress that the at-grade crossing is not to be used by regular trains coming on and off the site. That at-grade crossing is simply for construction.
We 100% agree with you. I've expressed that to DOT and to Scout that plan is to only use that for the construction materials, and they need to have that bridge done. Because we frankly don't want to operate across it either, to be honest with you. We would much rather have the grade separation as well. So, but it does take a little time to build a bridge. So,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Any other questions from council? All right, hearing none, so thank you. Please hold over in case there are some questions from constituents that are here tonight. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Next is a presentation from our building code contractor, RCI, Mr. Brian Blackwood.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak. This project is moving forward in a very positive way. This month marks 8 months since we have been involved at our first meeting with the Scout team, the IPI, the construction management, and Jacob's design team. Currently, we have approved for permit 4 buildings: the body shop, the assembly finish building, the central building, and the paint shop. The significance of this is that those 4 structures total 3,220,612 square feet. I guess to put that in perspective, a Walmart supercenter is about 187,000 square feet. This would be similar to 17 Walmart supercenters that we have thus far. Completed the review on the structural portion. So we've got a good bit to go, and it's going really great. But I want to pause there for a moment for the reality of, what the impact is, not just to RCI, because we could, quickly realize we are only one spoke in the wheel. Carol, Daniel, Kurt, Julie, Sharon, everybody has had to step up. Sharon with the business license, there's a lot changing to Julie, and even Evolve, that representative was in a meeting with us today, because some of these plans are so massive, just getting this stuff to upload. It's been meetings after meetings after meetings, and this team has really stepped up to the challenge and meshed well. And I couldn't say enough about the Blythewood team, but I will say that there's multiple more buildings coming. They have not selected a contractor as of yet on 3 of the buildings. One of the buildings they have, that would be Wallbridge on the paint shop. That is another balance of the 3 buildings are about to go out to bid, so we're going to be boots on the ground pretty soon with this construction. But if I could, I'd like to, say this is testimony to the Blythewood team as well as RCI. But, again, we're just one spoke in the wheel. It takes a lot of us to pull off something of this magnitude. But this is from the construction management team, third-party coordinator that is working very closely with Blythewood and us. It says, working together with the Blythewood permitting team has been a wonderful experience, and we look forward to continuing to develop our working relationship and finishing our permitting efforts successfully. And then from the design team, I have only positive things to say about the way we all communicate and work together. Working with you and your team makes the work on the project flow smoothly. As far as other buildings to come, we have a training center planned along with a battery axle building, and they named off a whole list of other buildings that are to come. But, again, I just want to kind of brief you on it, and hopefully, realize the magnitude. It is a very large facility, and we're going to be out there for years. It's not going to happen fast. I definitely don't want his job of all the infrastructure he's got to put in. Hopefully I won't get there till he's about finished. We can go vertical with our part. But anyway, if there's any questions, and also our project manager, lead guy in the field, Brent Bullard, if you would stand up, you'll definitely be able to see him. 6'9", but anyway, he is a key component of this team, and if anybody has any questions anywhere along the way, don't hesitate to call on us, reach out to us. We are very down-to-earth, normal people that favors very large buildings. Okay, any questions or?
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, just a comment.
Yes, sir.
Brian, I had the opportunity at the groundbreaking festivities to talk to 3 executives from Scout, and I asked for some feedback, both good and bad. RCI was mentioned by all 3, and it was all glowing. Your coordination with the town's coordination with you, back to Scout, Richland County, all had excellent things to say, so I'm sure there's bad to come along the way somewhere, but it's all good right now. I appreciate it.
Thank you for those kind words, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman McKendrick. Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Please hold over in case there's questions from members of the audience. Thank
Be
you.
glad to, yes, sir.
Next, we have a presentation from SCDOT, Ms. Lori Campbell. For you.
Joseph Retinol. I'm the district permit engineer for SCDOT. I believe we were asked to discuss the proposed widening of Langford Road by the Great Southern Homes Blythewood Farm subdivision. So as a part of their traffic study, they identified several mitigations due to the surrounding roadway network, one of which is a left turn lane from Langford Road onto their proposed secondary access of Allen Crest Road. It's just east of Sandfield Road. And as a part of that, they're also going to widen the road preliminarily for a left turn onto Sandfield Road from Langford Road. This development is planned to take place in 2025, about the same time that all other development in Blythewood is taking place. But it's a follow-up to the existing widening that's been done further east down Langford Road, as well as some widening down on Reimer Pond Road to the south for the, I guess, phase 1A of their subdivision.
Any questions from council? Yes, go ahead. You got it.
Cheryl may help us here. This widening project is being funded by Great Southern Homes. This is not part of the Penny project. This is not part of the DOT infrastructure for Scout.
That is correct, yes. This is funded by the developer. It's been planned since before Scout was in existence. It's just taken a while
Wanted everybody
get
to hear
there.
that because things get misconstrued easily.
Absolutely, yeah. This is privately funded by the developer as a mitigation for the homes that they are building, and for the traffic that causes.
And the road widening is going to go from point A again?
About the driveway for Doco Manor on Langford Road to approximately 300 feet past where the speed limit changes from 35 to 55 on
In the
Langford.
curve?
Yeah, outside the curve.
Outside, yep.
Yeah, back onto the straightaway.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So this does nothing to alleviate the bottleneck at Langford and Blythewood Road.
That is correct. So another mitigation that is taking place that should be done in April of this year, once again by Great Southern Homes for their phase 1 development, will be modification to that traffic signal. Laura, you know more about signals than I do.
Yeah, so when they first came to us with their phase 1 development, we identified the need ideally for a right turn lane from Main Street onto Langford. Because right now, it's a through and a right, and everybody that wants to go right gets stuck behind the one car that wants to go through, like I did on the way here. So what we're going to do, there are a lot of restrictions in that area. There's a historical building, there's railroad right-of-way, there's a lot of reasons the road is very difficult to make bigger, particularly for a developer, because we can't have a developer do eminent domain and, obtain right-of-way. So the plan is, right now it's striped, one lane southbound, one lane northbound, that's the shared through and right, and there's that dead space in the middle. It's kind of just yellow. The through is going to go in the middle, and then the farthest right lane will be a right only. So if you're coming down Blythewood Road and you turn left, now you'll have 2 lanes to choose from. If you're going through, headed out, to the northern part of town, you'll just stay to the leftmost lane, and the right turners will be able to kind of free flow onto Langford. So we've got that going on. That has been promised or in the works with the developer for quite some time. We've been patiently waiting. We have heard and been told maybe March, April. So we're hopeful that that proceeds as their new schedule has indicated. In the meantime, one of the guys in my office has worked up a little bit better phasing. We've been out here and studied it a couple of times in the last couple of months or a couple of weeks. And so he's got it laid out. We think we can make the signals work better together because they're not working well together. The ultimate plan that the developer's supposed to have built had them working well together, but that's been so very delayed that we finally are like, well, maybe we can time it with this old layout. So we're going to try some timing plans and try to improve it a little bit. But the key is going to be when that developer, they've got to move a signal pole to facilitate that right turn, being able to go a little bit smoother than it is now. It's kind of tight for trucks. So that's what we're waiting on, is they'll scoot that signal pole over, widen that radius a little bit, and then we can put the throughs in one lane and the rights in another lane. So hopefully that'll help a lot.
Ms. Campbell, if you're traveling southbound on 21 and you try to make a left turn onto Langford, that's difficult during busy times.
That's correct.
And as Great Southern plows more homes into our community, it's only going to get worse. So my question is, what would it take to get a dedicated left turn signal there?
So
So
right
you don't wait
now-
30 minutes while everybody turns right and goes straight.
Right, and we've been out here, we've looked at it. One of the holdups, again, is they have a signal plan that they've provided to their contractor that's supposed to have already been built. I mean, I think I was told a year ago it was going to be built. So if we go now and add a left turn signal head, now their contractor's plan doesn't match, it's a change order. We really just want them to get done and get out of the way. Then we can evaluate how it operates and make additional changes. But it's very hard to have a pending project and then we keep making changes, which keeps changing their plan. So again, we're waiting on the permittee to meet the conditions of their permit.
Ms. Campbell, quick question. To Councilman Brock's point, heading south on 21, there is an existing left-hand turn lane. What will happen to that left-hand turn lane? Because straight across that turn lane is the lane you're talking about, the no man's land.
Right. There's going to be a little bit, it will continue to be a left turn lane.
Okay.
There will be a jog. So now if you come from the high school, for instance, and you're headed northbound, you just stay in that farthest right lane and you go straight and it all lines up. The only way to make this work, because of the restrictions with asphalt, is at Blythewood Road. Now those northbound throughs will scoot over into that middle. We'll have little, we call them chicken tracks, but the little skips that tell you to get over. You'll drive up the middle and then we'll scoot you back. So the through will have a little bit of a jog to it. Probably not the worst thing in the world for speed control either, right? Because now they're not ripping through there in the off, I mean, nobody's ripping through there in the peak hours, but in the off-peak hours when there's no cars, that jog will also provide a little bit of speed control too. So there will be a jog.
And then a follow-up. What Great Southern has proposed and is working toward, the ideal plan, I mean, you want Great Southern to finish and get out of the way, but is DOT leaving any improvements for Blythewood on the table because we're waiting on that? Is the plan Great Southern put forward the best use of improvements of that intersection right now?
The plan that was developed with Great Southern, when we deal with development, right, we have to make them responsible for their impact. So they're pulling a lot more cars towards their development, which is to the right, and away from their development, which is to the left. Mm-hmm. So we can't make them, widen headed southbound. That's not their cars. Those are our cars. So when we work through the development process, we have to identify mitigations for those developers to do that are possible which with all these restrictions, that's why we didn't get any widening, and directly related to the cars that they're producing, their traffic. I think, actually, that this improvement will help the southbound left a good bit, because once we get those two signals working together, and you've got these right turners moved over, I think the southbound folks are gonna find a gap. Once we get the Great Southern Home Improvement in place, we'll come and reevaluate, we'll tweak the timings, because right now, the timings we have are paper timings. You have to get out in the field and tweak them and make sure that they actually work. It's always a little finesse that you have to do after you implement. So once we get over this, waiting on this permit project, then we can finesse it a little bit better.
Okay, thank you. So this is not a Great Southern delay, this is a permitting delay.
It is Great Southern
Contract.
being delayed
Yeah.
on the terms of their permit, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions from council? Yes, sir.
I had a couple questions. I know you can't widen an entire lane on that northbound Wilson Boulevard, but are you going to, like a foot or into it, can you go anywhere? Because it is pretty narrow, you're looking at it now. Is there any way to get?
Under the current layout, the right-of-way exists about 6 inches off the back of sidewalk.
Okay.
So they could pay
about it.
probably $300,000 to tear all the sidewalk up, relocate utilities. And for 6 inches of road, it's, even for a foot, it probably wouldn't be cost effective.
Gotcha. And I had another question about the Langford Road widening from Sandfield to the railroad. Is that widening going to be on the town hall side, or is it going to be on the opposite side?
So the exact scope of that widening hasn't been fully completed yet. We informed them that we would halt their review until they completed their phase 1 mitigations. The proposal is symmetrical widening, where you widen equally to both sides of the road. We have corresponded in the past, and you requested that it be asymmetrical on the development side, which I'll pass that along to them. But as they do not own contiguous property all the way along the frontage, that could incur them having to do right-of-way acquisition, which we can't really force them to do. So we will pass the request along, because I believe you want to keep.
Just a follow-up point to that, and Mr. Mayor, between you and Mr. Williamson, maybe we can figure out a time to meet about this, but even if the town has to be involved with right-of-way acquisition, asymmetrical, those trees along Town Hall are we'd really like to save.
Yeah.
So we don't control the land over there, but if we can attempt to acquire it and help offset possibly some of that cost, I would say those trees are very important to Blythewood and our residents.
We can absolutely have you guys involved in that. There's a way to make it work asymmetrically, where you widen 16 feet to one side versus 8 feet to both. It just does come with an increased cost and coordination required across all parties.
Thanks.
Any more questions? I am sure you're going to have a lot of questions, so I would appreciate if you two can hang around for a second. We'll do our best to get through this agenda, but please hang around as I see heads nodding in the audience with questions. All right, next we have section 4, action items. First action item, we don't have any citizens that signed up for any action items. The first one is item A, discussion and approval of a bid to paint the interior of Doko Manor. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Repainting the interior Doko Manor is an improvement that we budgeted this fiscal year. The Manor Director, Christy Coggins, sought out 4 quotes, and the lowest quote was Paint Pros, who's also provided excellent references and reviews. So I recommend to council that we award the bid to Paint Pros.
Okay. All right. Before I ask council, would Ms. Coggins like to say anything about the? Okay, we're good. All right. Yes, ma'am. All right, any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Councilman Brock?
thank you, sir. Looking at these 4 quotes,
Yes.
as they say on Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the others. You've got 3 that push $20,000 plus, and then you've got 1 that's $8,300.
Yep.
I mean,
It's a large.
it's one of those things that, like, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. I'm just kind of floored that you've got 1 bid, and then you've got 1 that's 3x that bid, and the other 2 don't fall too far behind. Am I missing something, or are they just?
So Paint Pros says, unlike the other quotes, that their standard policy is if it's painting the same color back, you just use 1 coat, and all the other quotes include 2 coats. And I asked them about that, but they said that that they just did not see a need to add a second coat. So that is the. I think if we find that they need another coat, it's still well below the second lowest. Somehow I anticipated this question.
Really? From me? Fair enough. All right, well, I've asked my question.
Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, this would be to Mr. Williamson.
Yes.
The only thing I would request through approval of this, and you referenced, we allocated 30. This would leave the balance that would be under what we would need to do for flooring in the bride room. I would encourage us to hang on to that bucket of $17,000 for painting until staff, Ms. Coggins, is pleased with 1 coat.
Certainly.
And
yeah,
then,
we're well aware of the
so we
concern
just
there,
don't,
but
so we just don't lose that money within the budget.
No, sir. No. We won't lose any money in that budget. We'll leave it as is. Ms. Coggins may see something else she need to get done around here. And just in case something weird in 1 coat, I'm kind of leery with 1 coat, to be honest with you. The 1 coat method may not work. That we have some extra funds to.
Well, is there an opportunity to pre-negotiate a second coat?
I'm sure we can.
If you know, for a lower than 8,300, because then you're kind of back up where you are.
Right.
Well,
Give us an option for, I don't know, whatever the number would be, but be less than what a redo would be. All right.
What is your timeline here? Are you up against the hard timeline?
No, actually we are.
wedding season.
We were going to have it on the agenda last month, so yeah, we were ready to go.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be comfortable making the motion that we approve Paint Pros, and then if there's adjustments need to be made, staff brings those back to us so they can get busy with the work they need to get done.
Let me ask one other question, and I hate to put Ms. Coggins on the spot. Are you comfortable, you manage this facility in the park, are you comfortable with 1 coat?
I'm not a painter, so we did receive another bid, and that one was right at $18,000. So the difference in the bids concerns me.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think the decision was made to go with because their reviews were good. So
Well, 8,300 times 2 is still less than 18,000. So,
Yes, sir.
So, all right, well,
but what I would recommend, and if Councilman Kennedy, did you make a motion to
yes, he
approve?
did.
I did.
Okay, I would actually offer a friendly amendment to make a motion to approve and then grant staff the authority to add a second coat without having it bring back to council, because that puts us behind the 8 ball another 30 days.
Yes, sir, I would accept that.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Now we're moving along.
All right. So we have a amendment to the original motion, which adds the authority to grant it to staff to add a second coat. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. Roll call vote.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fripp, Councilman McKenrick,
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, first reading, discussion and approval of ordinance 2024-02002, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2023.009 and 2023.014, so as provide the amendments to the revenue and expenditure appropriations of the general fund in the fiscal year 2023 to 2024 budget. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll refer to my memo that's in your packet. This is a relatively simple budget amendment compared to budget amendments we've had in past years. When you approved this budget last year, it did not include any permit fees associated with Scout Motors. This amendment reflects the permit fees we received, as well as the expenses to pay RCI, who provides our building official and inspector services. And at the bottom, you see their contingency. As y'all are familiar with our budget, that's just the remaining difference between revenues and expenses. It's on the expense side, on the expenditure side of the budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any comments from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Councilman McKendrick.
This would just include the 3 buildings that were discussed to this point.
That's correct. That's, okay. Yeah, and I asked, does she anticipate the IPI, the permitting company that's handled all this, what else do they anticipate before the end of the fiscal year? And she said this would pretty much encompass that.
Okay. And Mr. Mayor, I think I'd be remiss if I don't, again, thank Mr. Williamson and Ms. Julie for the way they present these budget amendments. Very easy to follow, very clear. So, Carol, I appreciate it. Makes it easy.
Yes, sir. Concur with that, and also thank you to the staff. It's a lot of moving pieces. I spend days and times in town hall, and I see people in and out with the contractors, and from business license to Kurt to Mr. Williamson. Sometimes I don't even get to talk to him. I don't even walk in his office because I know that they're so wrapped up in it, but I appreciate the updates. And the checks are flowing from this process now. So in the next meeting, we'll make sure that we show where we are, just capturing that moment. All right. If there's no other questions from council, I'll be looking for a motion to approve first reading.
So move.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fripp, Councilman McKenrick,
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item is second reading. It's second reading, discussion and approval of ordinance 2024.001, establishing building codes appeals board. Mr. Williamson, before you get started, I'm going to, if there's no other updates from you on that, I'm going to pivot to Councilman McKendrick on one point that he made earlier to me.
No, you can go ahead. I brought it up to Carol as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you talking about under the membership?
Yes, sir.
I brought it up to Mr.
Okay,
Williamson.
Mr. Williamson.
I believe that's also on the next agenda item. But so this is the second reading of just the ordinance to establish the Building Codes Appeals Board. Town attorney made a few modifications that are in the memo, but I'll just read them quickly. Modifications are largely to the form of the ordinance and don't substantively change the proposed ordinance. Section 156.04A2 was amended to better address term limits of board members. Subsection C now addresses records to be kept and the votes to be made by members of the board. Subsection D now provides the meeting shall be held at least monthly. Finally, subsection E addresses public notices for hearings, the delivery of written decisions to appellants, and the right to appeal and timing of any appeal from the board.
Okay, understand. All right, any comments from council? Good.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
This question would be for our town attorney. In your review of this document, we don't need to back up and do first reading again because these aren't substantive, as Carol just said. Is that correct?
Correct, that's my opinion. I mean, I made these changes there for everyone to see, and it's nothing.
But we're not hurting
overly
ourselves.
substantive,
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions, comments? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve second reading.
So move.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Ms. Dersh, roll call.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fripp, Councilman McKenrick,
Yes.
Mayor Sloan Griffin.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Section D, discussion and approval of the rules and procedures for the Board of Codes and Appeals.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Williams.
So these, the rules of procedure that each of our boards has, pretty much identical. One thing Councilman McKenna pointed out earlier this evening was on membership one, the last sentence says all members shall be residents of the town of Blythewood. That is not a requirement.
Yes, sir. Because we do have members that are outside, but
We
they're
do.
on because of their expertise.
Correct.
Okay. All right, any questions from council?
And this is a one-shot deal. We're just,
That's correct.
this is, yeah, one shot. We're just
And then we're
approving
going to
this.
take it to the board. When the board convenes after this, then they'll adopt these.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, I'm be looking for a motion to approve.
As amended.
As amended, I'm sorry, yes, sir. Be looking for a motion to approve as amended.
So move.
Looking for a second. Thank you, ma'am. Roll call, Ms. Durst, please.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fripp, Councilman McKenrick,
Yes?
Mayor Sloan Griffin.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Section 5, executive session per South Carolina Section 30-4-70. Receipt of legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege regarding contractual terms associated with the potential acquisition of real property. Yes, sir. Looking for a second. Roll call vote, Ms. Durst.
Councilman Brock? Yes. Councilwoman Fripp? Councilman McKenrick? Mayor Sloan Griffin?
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll be entering executive session, but I will ask that the members from the presentation please take this opportunity to get with constituents, and I'm sure they got a lot of questions. We'll be as quick as possible with this. The time is 7:23. Do we have a motion to reconvene in open session?
So moved.
Second? Thank you, ma'am. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Were there any motions recommended from executive session?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir, Councilman McKendrick.
I would like to make a motion to allow town staff to negotiate the purchase of property partial A as discussed in executive session and bring back that certified contract to council.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Oh, why not? Second.
All right. In roll call, Ms. Durst.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fripp, Councilman McKenrick,
Yes?
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, thank you. All right, at this time, we are at the moment for open citizens' comment. Just as before, we're asked that you limit your responses according to the ordinance to 3 minutes. We'll be as generous as can be. Any, wish to request to speak, sir? Yes, sir. Okay, no problem. We'll go ahead and let you speak first, Al. We all family around here, so, yes, sir, please state your name and.
Good evening. My name is Ed Sanchez. I'm a resident of Ashley Oaks in Blythewood. I was actually not intending to speak, and obviously don't have prepared notes, but I want to give thank you for the opportunity to speak and make a comment. I've been to several sessions now and hearings, and quite frankly, I was not much involved in the politics of Blythewood. And part of it was because for many years, there wasn't a lot of transparency and or, quite frankly, things that called my attention in order to participate as a citizen. And so in looking through the agenda, and one comment I would have for the mayor and council is that if you're really seeking public input, citizen participation, I think that y'all should reconsider the placing of the open citizens comments on your agenda. Quite frankly, it's not very welcoming to be last on the agenda. I think there were some opportunities, quite frankly, when the presentations occurred, which by the way were excellent. I think it could have been better handled by allowing for maybe 5 minutes after each presentation, and maybe limit citizens' comments so that they could be heard by others. If there were questions of each of those presentations, it could have generated additional questions, and it all could have been part of the minutes, or at least recorded for the rest of the citizens in Blythewood who could not attend but are seeing it through streaming. So I would respectfully request for the future that open citizens' comments be a little bit earlier in the agenda, because quite frankly, you lost a lot of folks here after y'all went to executive sessions. Many times we don't know how long it's going to take. I think this is the second time that I've been here and there's been an executive session, and quite frankly, the first time I left because you guys were in there for a long time. So. Yes. Again, just comment, and if y'all want to embrace the community and get more participation and more comments, I think that's an easy way to do it. Thank you for listening to my comments.
No problem. Thank you, sir. And just a quick note, we tried to experiment so many ways with executive sessions in the beginning, and I'm not a fan of executive sessions. You may hear some of that later on in the open citizens comment. I really want to kind of scuttle away from open citizens comments executive sessions as best as possible, because it does take up a lot of time, and we experimented with trying to do some special call meetings just for that purpose, and it's kind of weird. And my goal has been to speed up the process. Let's hurry up, get to it. I didn't even ask members of council, and I do apologize. Do they need a restroom break? We just went straight on in and got to work. So we're trying to fill and get more efficient, but your requests and recommendations are duly noted. One thing I will make is one thing from the last time with the presentations. It was a similar comment that nobody got to ask questions, so I wanted to make sure that they knew to hang around for you guys, so you get a one-on-one, a personal feel. And I hope that for the majority of the people that's here, I've seen some people talking with those folks, and I hope they got to ask questions and make a friend, as we would say in church. So I hope, but your comments are duly noted.
No, absolutely. So listen, there's no easy way to do these things. I can tell you that I probably wanted to be in 2 of the meetings, but because of the way it was handled,
Yes, sir.
you can't be at 2 places at one time, right?
Yes, sir.
You try to ask questions over there, then you run over to the other side. The other comment is I do appreciate the fact that you recognize the executive session, whether you're a fan, not a fan. You know, again, this should be our time. This should be the citizens' time. And I think that executive session, quite frankly, before you all in, to kind of do that on your own time and then bring back the findings of the executive session to us on our time.
Got you. Yes, sir. No, thank you. And please, before you leave, make sure you share your information, like email addresses, with Ms. Durst, so we can keep you in the loop. Thank you. Next on open citizens comment is Ms. Bobby Young.
Hi, everybody. I really wanted to thank you so much for inviting the Jameson family and recognizing them. I have to tell you, I was in labor one time for almost 30 hours, and that lady got me beat by a mile, so she deserves a really good recognition. Also, the Shives family, they're awesome people. It's about time people started standing up and saying, these are shining examples of what neighbors are like, and this is the way they should be treated. Also, little known fact, Mrs. Shives called me this past week, and so she has the rare fox squirrel living on her property now because of the fact that all 2,000 acres were cut down. Those animals have no place to go. So the Shives people, being the good people that they are taking care of them. They're feeding them, and they love them. She called me up, and she said, there's these white creatures outside. I said, what do they look like? Is it a Persian cat? No, it's not a cat. It looks like a fox. It looks like a dog. We finally figured out what it is. So anyway, also, thank you so much for doing the good job you're doing. And I just want to say, when I heard the fellow talking about how big those buildings are going to be, it almost brought me to tears, and I hope it will not bring me to tears right now to say this, but rest in peace, old Blythewood. Rest in peace. Something else I want to bring up is the elephant in the room. People don't talk about this stuff, but they really should. I am severely disappointed by the Chamber of Commerce recently. I think the Chamber of Commerce was all gung-ho and did all kinds of things for the previous administration, including having things like the stump meetings, or meetings where people that wanted to be on the town council were allowed to go talk in an open forum, which they did, and I was all over that. And I think it's unfair, for example, that they didn't have a stump meeting this year. And I tried and tried. I got a hold of, what's his name, Mr. Fry. Hey, are we going to have a stump meeting? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. And then finally, I saw the stump meeting was coming. I think it stinks that they're not going to be backing this administration as strongly and with as much will and sustenance as they did the former administration. And so, oh, by the way, could I like start my own Chamber of Commerce, Bobby Young's Chamber of Commerce, that would back this group, that would back the people that are doing the things for our community? Come on now. So I'm sorry to say all of this, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. Chamber of Commerce is really starting to suck lately. Sorry to say that. And on camera for all the world to see, it's true. I wish they'd get back and put their big boy panties on and start treating you guys the way you deserve to be treated. That's it. Do I have more time? I'm only kidding with you. I don't need more time. Thank you so much.
Next on the agenda is Councilwoman Fripp.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to read because I only have 3 minutes. This is certainly not the setting in which I wanted to have this discussion. I've asked via protocol to do this privately, whether it be executive session or a special call meeting, but was essentially denied the opportunity. So I'm using the only forum left to voice my concerns. This is not about politics and not the way I had envisioned beginning my term on council, but I have some grave concerns that I would like to share with the public, concerns that I cannot ignore. I ran because I wanted to make a difference and use this seat for the good of the residents of Blythewood. I ran as an individual, a private citizen who was not tied to any individual ideology or group. Many people made assumptions about me and grouped me with certain people. Others hoped I could bring a sense of trust and integrity to the council and that I would do the right thing. Today, I stand before you believing I am doing the right thing and I'm willing to stand alone and to take any repercussions. I'm the only person on this council who's not been a part of the personal and political dysfunction over the past few years, so I see things with a fresh set of eyes and an independent mindset. Just over 3 months ago, I was like you, a member of the general public, and I had opinions based on what I read in the local newspaper. I, like many others, thought the town had spent too much money on legal fees, and I was elated when I learned of the sanctions by Judge Nguyen that would have allowed us to recoup some, if not all, of the legal fees spent. I also heard some serious accusations and allegations of wrongdoings by Councilman Brock. I didn't make them, as it relates to his involvement in the MPA lawsuit and his conduct that was allegedly adverse to the town. Since taking office, I've had the opportunity to sit with the attorneys and review the documentation. So this is not about hearsay or former rumors. What I'm trying to address now is what I've learned firsthand. This is not about a difference of opinion or voting differently based on ideology, but about working in direct opposition of the town of Blythewood while representing the town as an elected official. In December, the council met and agreed to proceed with a global settlement that would allow both cases to be settled using the good as gold sanction given by Judge Newman pertaining to the destruction of evidence by MPA. Still, to my surprise, a few days after that agreement, the outside legal team was terminated and the town attorney was instructed to settle the 21 case that would pay MPA. Keep in mind that this settlement negated our opportunity to recoup any legal fees owed to the town. And isn't that the major issue we as citizens of Blythewood had? I asked, why would we not pursue or even entertain trying to recover the legal fees spent if we were awarded sanctions? After all, sanctions seem to be the buzzword right now. And this is taxpayer money, our money as the taxpayers of Blythewood. Then for me, the more pertinent question became, who does it benefit to settle the case? The opposition gets paid. We do not pursue sanctions to attempt to recoup our legal fees, and the evidence of wrongdoings gets turned over. The town may not be afforded the benefit of complete transparency. So again, Why did we settle, and who benefits from our settling? Who benefits and who decides to have that happen? For me, there is a level of responsibility here that needs to be addressed. I feel that I was misled or misinformed when I voted on November the 28th. Had I known then what I understand now, my vote would have been different. Councilman Brock has remained a voting, decision-making member of this body with direct access to privileged information and influence in his role as mayor pro tem and the second in command. He has not recused himself in this matter, nor has he been asked by leadership to do so. In fact, it seems as though he's more emboldened in his current role. That, to me, is unsettling. When things don't make sense to me, I question them. When the answers don't make sense or don't add up, then I investigate. With that being said, I took approximately 5 hours to review the evidence files held by the attorney, and what I saw was disturbing. I won't walk you through the details or make a public show, but I need to go on record and repeat that what I saw was disturbing. The facts speak for themselves. Of course, a person could try to explain certain pieces of evidence individually and cast doubt of wrongdoing by yelling and denying. Still, emotions aside, collectively, the whole picture is crystal clear. Some may feel if you don't look at the evidence, it doesn't exist. Some may not realize just what evidence is actually there. Unfortunately, there is no ethics or accountability policy in place with the council, and I've been tasked to create one. There have been so many FOIA requests, confrontations, stories written, and just people taking sides that the truth has been hidden and the lines blurred depending on what side you're on. I'm on the side of the facts. I can stand by myself. And I believe it is in the best interest of the residents of Blythewood to fully understand what the settlement means and how it actually affects the town. Did it benefit the town? Tomorrow is election day. As I stated during my campaign, local elections matter, and more importantly, issues of character matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fripp. One thing I will say, you said you stated that you've seen evidence. Please get with my office on the evidence. Which attorney?
He said, Attorney Black, that you all have had the opportunity to look at the evidence, but nobody's looked at it.
So you've seen the evidence?
I have.
You have?
Absolutely.
Attorney Balthazar, have we received any of the evidence files that's been requested since December?
Mayor Griffin was here during the executive session in December. He brought it. Nobody asked to see it. That was my first executive session. I didn't really know to ask to see it. But when the issues came up and I felt that it was something that needed to be addressed, then in my conversation with you, you said that I could talk to David Black. Well, I did that. I didn't speak with him personally, but I spoke with his office. And so as a councilwoman, then I felt that it was my right to see the evidence. So how can I then, and mind you, I'm not the one that had made any allegations or accusations. I just wanted to see what it was about. And again, I took it upon myself as a councilwoman, based on our conversation, and you said that I could talk to him. I spoke with his office, I went, I took 5 hours of my time, he didn't charge anything, and I looked because I wanted to see. And again, I didn't come here waving information and trying to, make a political stunt. I'm just saying, I think that I have asked several times, I feel like I've been denied, I feel like the people of Blythewood need to know exactly who the settlement benefited.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
To be honest with you, my office has requested these records to go, stand by for a moment, to go through the evidence, to document. So I'm going to ask our attorney right now to talk about, because there's no hidden secrets here. So, Mr. Balthazar, your instructions earlier in our conversation a week ago that gave you the authority to go through with the first files that was sent over from Attorney Burnett, to have your paralegal go through. I haven't seen them, you haven't seen them, to document what's in these files before they turned over to council. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Everyone is aware, Ms. Burnett's services were terminated as far as NPA litigation or anything else involved in the town, and she was instructed to turn over any files that she has concerning the town. And as far as I know, she has done that. What's in those files? Like I said, as far as the process for going through those, the files are all there. It's just a matter of looking at those files and seeing what's in there.
So,
Which is obviously some of the files are going to be contain public records, things that are already on file with the courts. Portions of the file are going to be attorney-client privilege. Portions of the file are going to be work product of attorneys, individual impressions of attorneys. And some of that stuff is not necessarily public.
Which is why I didn't disclose any information.
so what's the status on David Blatt sending his file over? Have we sent?
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask you a question, or Attorney Balazar. And I was part of the email chain that asked Mr. Black to turn over his information, but as Councilwoman Fripp just stated, Shannon Burnett's information is at Town Hall? Is that correct?
Mm-mm.
So, Attorney Balazar, if Mayor Pro Tem Brock asked to see that, would you show it to him?
That's a good question, and I think we should discuss that in executive session.
But we haven't. We haven't. We've asked.
So,
Now, hold on just a second.
go
Or I
ahead.
can go up and have my 3 minutes. We've asked for an executive session to speak directly to that. So what you're telling me is one of two attorneys has turned over information to you. Our Mayor Pro Tem, second in command of this town, could call you or email you and say, I want to see what Shannon Burnett's office turned over. And probably you would ask, I would assume the mayor, but this council right now has absolutely no recourse to a member that's adverse to the town in a lawsuit, and you want David Black to turn over the main file? I said in an email, I oppose that. That main file should go directly to Attorney Lindeman, who, because we asked for a global settlement and didn't get it, is taking depositions of Councilman Brock in a matter of weeks. But we want Councilman Brock to have the freedom to sit and review all the legal evidence against MPA strategy and himself. In what world does that make sense? And The Voice only prints a one-sided version of MPA is sanctioning Attorney Black. Attorney Black hasn't turned over his records to the town as requested. You're doggone right he hadn't, and I hope he doesn't. That is the quandary this town is in. Yet we can have a meeting tonight and move forward, move some good things forward. But we have a black cloud hanging over us because a member of this council feels privileged and has caused damage to the town, $36,000 in my opinion, at a minimum, won't recuse himself. He will recuse himself for experienced Columbia because they've had business dealings with him before. But he won't recuse himself in a lawsuit where clearly he is spelled out as being adverse. That is the struggle I have had, and I appreciate Councilwoman Fripp articulating hers. And this council deserves better just with each other. Like you said, if Councilman Brock asked him to see Shannon Burnett's, Councilman Brock, have you seen it?
No. That's the second question. Have I asked to see it?
Well, I know you've asked to see it.
No, I have not.
Well, you asked to see attorney bills.
That's not the same thing.
Oh, it most certainly is the same thing.
All right, so what we're not gonna do, we're not gonna rehash and go back into next year. There's been protocols and things that I have asked for under my office. And Councilwoman Fripp, when emailed me, I did tell her, you're free to have the conversations you need. No one on this council, I want the public to know this, no one on this council has ever been restricted since I've been in this seat on having conversations, looking at things, seeing. However, when we closed the first lawsuit, I think a lot of muddy water is in this. There's 2 lawsuits. The first one was a 4-year lawsuit. That's over. That's over. We violated the 4-year, it's over.
Mr. Mayor,
We paid
to
it.
that point, it's over, but it was left open. So
It was left o-
MPA could sanction David Black.
Let me go there. It was left open, but I was on the case just as some others were on the case, and we heard it, and our attorney did a good job that that's not pertaining to us on that. And
We
the
had the-
attorney can speak on that piece, but the sanctions have nothing to do with us,
We had the ability to ask to close that case, and we didn't.
the attorney side. So hold up, the attorney side. We haven't been asked, we ain't participating in none of those processes.
The
On the
$36,000
sanctions.
you
The
want?
36, yes, that's done. The 36 is done. We're talking about a defamation lawsuit piece that's, folks are being deposed to right now. Now, if you, go.
I wasn't talking about the 23 case. I
No.
was talking about the 2021 case, and my issue is, again, everybody's throwing out the word sanction. If the town of Blythewood had the opportunity to recoup some, if not all, and again, we don't know how much it would have been, but the attorney laid out what the plan would be, which I am not going to say anything that I'm not supposed to say, but he laid out what he believed was the plan and what normally happens and things like that. But because we did not even entertain or pursue that, then that's my issue, because how can anybody else talk about sanctions when you read in the paper, and again, I've just been up here 3 months, so I was what everyone out here was. I'm reading in the paper, and I'm seeing that the legal fees are sky high. Okay, makes sense, and I think you did a great thing in terms of stopping the bleed, but if we had the opportunity in any way, I don't care if it was 100,000, if it was 50,000, to recoup some of the money, then that is owed to the town. And the bigger question then becomes, why did we not pursue the sanctions that was awarded? Not, hey, we're going to go to the judge, but the judge had already awarded the sanctions.
So how much was the sanctions awarded to?
Doesn't matter.
Nope, time out, nope.
No, it doesn't
How
matter.
much? No, ma'am, no. How much was the sanctions for?
Would have given some, if not all.
How
of the
much?
ability-
Because you
What
wasn't
difference
here
does it
when
make?
the
If it was
conversations were had.
$1,000, it's owed to
All
the
right.
people sitting out there. It does not matter. It could have been
I want to know a
50
cost.
cents. It's owed.
How much? You was
All
not
this is just
previewed, you wasn't on
convoluted for
council at
everyone.
that time.
Doesn't matter. Here's the thing.
It does
I
matter.
was not
Go
on
ahead and finish
council.
so I can talk.
I was not on council, but it does not take a rocket scientist. So how come the sanctions that were given to us by Judge Newman have no value, but every week it's printed in the paper that somebody is suing somebody for sanctions, and they're certainly going after it. That's a buzzword now. So why is it that we settled the case without even pursuing? Because I'd rather you be able to give the people an answer and say, hey, well, we tried it, didn't work, or we tried it and it was going to cost X amount of money. But for us to say we didn't do anything We settled, gave this woman money, which negated any opportunity for the town to have even recouped a dime. The money didn't belong to us because you can't have it both ways. You can't have the town jumping up and down because we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and you have the opportunity to recoup something, anything. It belongs to the town of Blythewood. So then we just totally ignore that and then pay in the lawsuit and walk away from it. Then nobody else should ever mention the word sanction. Shouldn't even be mentioned. Because if it does not matter to the town of Blythewood, why would it matter to everybody else? It's a big front page when someone else is suing for sanctions, but we were awarded sanctions and did not pursue them. And so again, to the public, if I'm sitting where you're sitting, I'm only thinking we're stopping the bleed, which I commend the mayor. He stopped the bleed. But then stop the bleed and try to get some of our money back. Because you made a comment about some of that money could be used for a splash pad. Well, get us as much money as we possibly can back for the splash pad. That's my thing, but it's a bigger picture than that. And again, I want to make sure I'm not slinging mud. I've never made allegations against Councilman Brock. That's not what I was here for. But my thing was, why not look into it? And as far as I'm concerned, you've never given me the opportunity to come together as a body. I've asked several times to come together as a body, us, self-govern ourselves, to say, what do we do about this issue? I'm not trying to put him on blast, but you pushed me to that podium because I clearly have asked, hey, let's do this behind closed doors. So I don't care about what's going to be written. I stand on my own. And I'm saying to you that I have asked several times, let's deal with this internally. I've not been afforded that opportunity. So my thing is, I was elected like everybody up here was elected. And I was elected to serve the people. I am the only person up here that was elected that had no ties or relationship to anybody up here. I don't owe you anything but to come here, sit in this seat, and do what I think is right by the town of Blythewood. That's it. That's what you elected me for.
And Mr. Mayor, as you're going to respond, which I'll make my comment, and because of the very question I asked our attorney about the legal records from Attorney Burnett being in his possession, I want to know that we're protected before this defamation case comes forward. And that's why I asked for an executive session tonight or a special called meeting. And you denied both of those because I wasn't talking to you individually. Which is, it's a council decision. It's not a Sloan Griffin decision.
No, it is. You need to have a conversation with me. At least talk with me. You're not talking with me.
I disrespected you, but why would I come to you individually to talk about Councilman Brock, given your relationship with him?
So that means you don't trust me as a professional. So that means that the things that...
the situation.
Ma'am, are you going to let me talk?
I'm sorry.
That means that the things that are discussed in the town hall with staff, that means that I go out and put it in the street. I'm just, if you don't trust me in this seat, then that's fine. There's things that have been told to me about individuals on this council that I have never shared. That's the professional side of me. So if you come to me and have a conversation, in past administrations, in the past, every single person sitting up here on council has had a conversation with the mayor when it comes down to the agenda and the process. It is not an aha, I got you moment. That's what I ran on to stop the aha, I got you moments. The files were locked with the attorney.
We don't know that.
Stand by it. That's okay. You guys don't have to let me talk. We're going to move. Councilman Brock, you have anything to say? Because this is about you. And then we're going to move on and close because the process has been there, ladies and gentlemen. The process from the beginning, the mayor, hadn't even seen these things. I asked for documentation to be calculated and put in the files to send to all of us at the same time. I could have seen it like the previous mayor seen it when I never seen it. When I asked for documentation going through council for the past 3 years through MPA, I lived MPA.
But I didn't do that behind your
Ma'am,
back.
let me talk, ma'am, I am closing this out, but I am going to talk because I gave you the freedom to speak. So I want my freedom to speak. Because there's a lot of misconstrued things. I will share the emails back and forth between us with no problem. I know exactly what I suggested to you. If you have a problem with a member on council, we have 0 policies internally to say that if a council member did something out here, you could do this or that to punish them. We have none of that. You stated that. And I said, ma'am, draw up a policy. Draw up a policy. The work is on you. You're asking for this. It's not for me to draw it up. You're asking for this. My comment was that the State Ethics Commission can drop the hammer on any one of us at any time. And not one time have I seen any of these allegations sent. I have repeatedly said if there's an allegation, send it to the State Ethics Commission. But what I won't do as the leader sitting in this seat is send something just because somebody up here asked me to send something, to sign my name on a document to send it. I would never do that without seeing the evidence. I would never, ma'am, let me speak. I would never do that to any one of you up here. Any one of you. I have the utmost respect for each and every one of you here. Regardless if you like me or not, that doesn't matter. But I would never prosecute a member sitting up here without the evidence. I have repeatedly for years asked to have the evidence. I have sent, our attorney is working on send the files. Send the files. I want all of us to be able, when those files come in, to sit in the room to go through all of them. And Pete understands that, and Pete knows that when these files are in, I don't want to see them. We're going to do an executive session just for that. And if it takes 4 and 5 hours, we're going to go through these files. Did you hear what I said earlier? Ms. Fripp asked about a policy. We don't have a policy to kick somebody out of a meeting.
Well, and you did say that you wanted me to create one.
Yes, create a policy, and I have yet today to see it. So when you have it,
To make sure that I had something to work with, so therefore I went to see the files. I really felt like I needed to see the files because, again, you keep saying that no, you've not seen the files. We were sitting in the room with the attorney, and he had the files literally on the table. Not you or Councilman Brock.
or yourself,
Right, that was my first, look, I was.
because the meeting was called for you, ma'am. You asked,
Okay, so guess what? I
you
didn't do it
asked,
then, but I went and
you
did it.
asked.
I made it right.
Okay, go
I made
ahead
it
and
right.
finish so I can finish it.
But I made it right. I didn't ask then, because guess what? I'm sitting there, because if someone is accusing me of something and you say you got the file with all the evidence against me sitting right there, you best believe I'm looking at it, because I want to see what it is that you claim that you have against me. So my thing is, yeah, I'm a new council. You're going to hold me accountable because I'm a new councilwoman and I didn't ask to see it. But again, you can hold me accountable for that. But then what I did was I made it right. I didn't ask for it that night. But once I talked to you, I went and I saw the files. I saw what he brought that night that I did not ask for. I went and I saw it. And all I'm saying is, based on what I saw, I think it's disturbing. Because again, I could have easily tried to find out what was FOIA and what was public and bring it in here and tell y'all, hey, look at this. See, that's not what I'm going to do, because I've never once made an allegation against Councilman Brock. But what I will tell you is, the young lady spoke about elephant in the room. It's an elephant in the room on this council, and I don't care if there's a policy in place or not. If we can't, as a body, even come together to discuss it, then what does that say? So you can't put fault on me.
I'm saying, hey, I've asked several times, can we get together as a body and talk about it? I didn't say get together and crucify him or anything like that. I said, can we get together and talk about what is out there? Nobody, at least I can speak for me, I have never accused him of anything. Never. I've never made an allegation against him. Never. But what I did do was I went and looked because I wanted to see what the allegations were. And based on what I saw, I think it's disturbing. That's all I've said to you. That's it. That's all I've said to you. And I'll stand on that. I looked at it. It took me 5 hours. It's disturbing. Because again, the question becomes, who did the settlement benefit? That's it. That's all I'm saying. And, you know, I've never disrespected you. You said, hey, I can't have the meeting. And what did I say to you? I'll govern myself accordingly. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I've never disrespected you or your position. But my thing is, every time I wanted to talk as a body about it, you pointed me to Attorney Balazar or come talk to you individually. No, I don't want to do that. I want us to talk as a body about it. And you told me I had to ask Councilman Brock whether or not I could go into executive session to discuss him. Guess what happened? Radio silence. He hadn't responded to me yet, 2 weeks ago. So how do you ask the person that you want to vote to have a discussion? Why is he even voting? Why is he even voting? Makes no sense. So when I see things like that happen as a pattern, why would I come to you individually? No disrespect. If I had to talk to you about the park or whatever, I'd come to you individually. But I'm saying to you, Mr. Mayor, can we as a body talk about the evidence in the room? Because if we can't self-govern, it could be a slap on the wrist. But if we can't self-govern and everything has to come through you as it relates to him, then we're never going to get anything done.
And that was my question in the email.
Why wouldn't it?
I know, I'm gonna, yeah.
About neither one. It's about the allegations that are against him. Wouldn't you think that that's something that we as a body should discuss? Why would it not? But why would it not? We're not even talking about the contract. Why would it not? Why would it not qualify?
I told you, I can't get a word in, so
Well,
I'm
what
just.
I'm saying, you want to make it seem as though, and forgive me if I'm over talking you, but why would you think? Oh, well, yeah, I'll listen.
I'm just giving you an example.
Sure.
For instance, a contract can be
Yep.
discussed before it's signed. But after it's signed, it's against the law to go in executive session to discuss it. I don't know how that applies to you.
I'm not discussing the contract.
But, you have, it does have to qualify. So it's not going to
Attorney-client privilege qualifies as executive
No, it
session.
doesn't, not necessarily.
Mr. Bowers,
Just having a lawyer.
I'm not going to argue.
So, time out. Pete, sir, no, we're not gonna get you in the middle of that. I'm finna end this. No, we've been through years of this. Yeah, that's a stupid joke.
We can look at FOIA right now, and yes, it covers attorney-client.
Just having a lawyer in there is not.
I'm not going to argue with the media.
Well, I'm not arguing.
Sure you are.
Just having a lawyer is
We don't need to talk, Barbara. We don't need to talk.
All right, let's, Mr. Bain, you need to speak. Mr. Charles Bain, you have your moment. Matter of fact, hold on one sec. Go ahead and get yours, and then I'm gonna let Councilman Brock. He's been pinging me.
Yep, Charles Bain, 833 Mount Valley Road, before all the oxygen gets sucked out of this room. The first question I had was, what real estate did we buy?
We have not bought any yet.
What are you gonna buy?
That falls under executive session. That is an item that
All
actually
right,
falls
okay,
under
let's keep
executive
it
session.
brief. Okay.
We'll share it when we get
Number
to the
two,
next phase.
that, as we all know, Scouts suck the other oxygen out of our town. It's probably half our town now. To maintain our rural character, which is explained on our web pages, it shows a golf course, and I don't know, it shows rural, horses, things like that. What can the town do to limit these hordes of developers that are going to descend on us? Are you going to approve everything they ask for? What's the plan to manage growth from here on out? Because they're going to kill us. That's all I had. If you want to make a comment, I'll take it.
No, I'm good.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'll give you a call, Mr. Charles. I had a real good annexation meeting today, and we talked specifically about some of the farming areas in town, some of the horse farms and things like that. So my office and staff, we come up with some creative things with these folks in the office today. They're really happy. So sometime in, I think we're looking at around the 9th weekend of the 9th next month, you're going to see some things in the media. I'm going out to some of those areas with that plan moving forward. But until we get it finished and drawn up, I don't want to. But I think you'll be happy with it because they were very happy with that. And it's promising to protect that the west side of town back over where you're talking about. So. So we got annexation first, and these folks are working, they're gonna work with a large amount of people. Matter of fact, there's a large interest about being annexed in. But we gotta do some things that kind of protect their way of life, and it's the same way you're looking for in others. So that's what we're gonna move towards. So I think you'll be happy with that when you see it come out. Thank you. And now I'm going to go back because Councilman Brock did not get a chance to speak, and I'm being fair across this board to give him an opportunity to speak, and then I am closing this meeting out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe I'll go under 3 minutes. A lot to unpack there. Councilwoman Fripp, if you so choose to do a little homework, Title 30, Chapter 4 is called the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. I'll answer some of your questions there. What else was it? Mr. Balthazar, was Mr. Lindeman ever noticed in the 2021 case? The answer is no. I know the answer. He is not assigned on that case to any party, correct? Correct. So Councilman McKendrick has suggested that attorney work product, i.e. client files, be turned over to Mr. Lindeman. Would that even be proper under the rules of professional conduct for him to receive that work product? It would be? Okay. Fair enough. Answer my question. That's fine. And the last thing I'll say is, Councilman Fripp, you're working on a policy for something. Unfortunately for you, there's not a policy you can draft that would prohibit me from sitting in any executive session or voting on any item unless there is a direct conflict of interest. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to close this out and then we're going to adjourn because we could be at this all night. Everybody has an opinion. I'm going to say that again. Everyone has an opinion. Attorneys have opinions. We as council members have an opinion. Me as the mayor have an opinion. Running for office, we all sat here and we all talked to folks. We all talked to you all. And we all said that we're going to do A, B, C, and D. I would like to think professionally that we do work towards A, B, C, and D. I can speak for myself. Running for the mayor's seat, stopping the bleeding was very important to me. Stopping the bleeding was important to me not just because friendships on council. I would hope to think that any of us could get together for a sandwich and a beer. I'm just that type of country guy. regardless of the political side of the aisle, or religious beliefs or personal beliefs. We have to find a way to respect one another, but we also have to do the work. It's work that comes with these positions here. And we all work. And I'm not saying that one works greater than the other, but we all are doing work. But we all owe you guys something, and if we want something done, I may have to do a little bit more work than my colleagues to the left and right of me. To draft it, to design it, to meet with the professionals, to discuss it. I've personally been through that because I've been on council for a few years. I understand what the conversations were when I sat in the council seat. When I wanted things on the agenda, I understood what I needed to do. And that was to inform the mayor that I want to add something. And the mayor would always say, give me a call. Let's discuss this. That's how it's been. That's how it's written. And that's what we're going to continue to do. I would never prosecute any of these men or lady up here on anything without having the evidence. And all I can do is ask. My asking in equity is for all of us to sit at the table together to see all of it, from Shannon to David's evidence. There was a concern, and I remember on the email, and that's what made me pick up the phone and see what options do we have. What if you see it, Mr. Mayor? How do I know you didn't take something out of it? Honestly, I'm a professional. And if I have done something wrong, I want each and every one of you in the public watching this on YouTube to call me and hold me accountable for anything that I have done. That's me in my heart. So I went to our legal and said, you hold these files. I don't even want to see them. And when the David Black turns his files in, then you guys do what you need to do and send it to all of us at one time. That's what we've been waiting on. For one more attorney to turn it over since December the 12th, 11th or 12th, I believe, to send his files over. I will always stand and protect this town. But $700,000+ on a 4-year lawsuit was ridiculous to me. Yes, I said it in the news. I could build a splash pad. We could do this. All of us on council, all the things that we told you all that we want to do, we could have probably done or close to it with the $700K. We needed to stop the bleeding. And when the opportunity was presented, where's your smoking gun? Because I had the ethical duty to protect this town on both sides of the aisle. I went to this man. While some think that it's just a brotherly love and we just hug each other and all this and whatever he say is right. No, we have plenty of disagreements. But that's going back to the point that was made earlier. I won't share those because professionally, we're professionals. Now I'm going to respect him. He respects me, and I hope the same for my other members. Respect goes a long ways. Trust goes a long ways. But I can tell you that I had personal conversations with this man. And if something was out of pocket, he know I would hold him accountable. I can only go to the attorneys in an equitable manner, not me trying to have a one-up on everybody on this council. That's what we got to get away from, the one-ups, the stomp the chump moments, as I have been relating to in the emails. We're not Washington, D.C. We're the town of Blythewood. We're community, we family. We need to act like it. I have made things accessible to the media when they need it. Not just one-sided, all-sided. Call me anytime of the night. Email me. There is no secrecy in town hall. If it's there, it's yours. Sir, if you call me and email me, send it to you. That's how I operate. That's how I wish that we all could operate. If the proof is there, we need the proof. If David Black is watching this, send those files to our attorney. so that we all can disperse this, so that we can sit in executive session, one meeting, we won't tie up everybody, executive session just for that. That's what I'm waiting for. I don't get off on being the smartest and having the ups on everybody. We got to get away from that. This, I will say this, until we get those files, I'm going to be respectful and give the conversation. But if we don't have evidence to go into these sessions, we're wasting your time out here in the audience. We just going to be talking like we were doing today with no evidence in front of you. So if we want to continue to have this conversation, I'm going to say this to council in public. As I said in the emails, and I'm going to continue to say, and I'm closing, provide the evidence.
I did.
Provide the evidence.
I did.
Sir, I am talking and I am closing. Provide the evidence. And we will be glad to have the executive sessions. I want them in public. But I'm going to be respectful to the wishes and do it in executive session per our legal. So with that being said, I apologize to each and every one of you because this is not how I want to conduct council meetings moving forward, and I won't conduct them like this meeting moving forward. So my apologies to each and every one of you and you watching on YouTube. With that, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.